And this is a 53.85 acre tract. One of the biggest tracts we've ever had. It's the biggest tract at the White Ranch project, which is in northern Fulton County, Arkansas. Looking at the property here, it's outlined with the red and white dashed line. This is a surveyed property with the corners marked. It's had a recent survey. Not a requirement when you're buying or selling a property, but generally it's a good investment, and in this case it's already been done, so you're covered there, which saves you quite a bit of money actually. As we mentioned, 53.85 acres, so almost 54 acres, basically entirely wooded, 99% wooded, other than some small natural clearings and the private driveway, which goes south from the easement road several hundred feet and back to a cleared area that you can use for hunting, building, camping. I mean, you can use the whole property essentially for hunting, building, and camping, but having that private driveway with the site means you can pull immediately. You can pull off that easement road, get well back into the property, extremely private. It's awesome. This particular tract actually has Pine Creek running across the north side. It's generally going to be what's the phrase, a seasonal creek in this area, but it is a named creek. So, I mean, it is a gravel creek bed. You're going to have some cool rock features and other stuff as well. I'm not even sure where to begin. This is a big tract, and where do we want to start? Well, essentially, this is called the White Ranch Project because it's about 5 miles from the White Ranch Conservation Area, which is south of West Plains, Missouri. The conservation area is about 6,000 acres of public land that's generally open for hunting and trail riding. They actually have a public shooting range, which you can just drive or walk right up to and use, sight in your rifle or just target shoot. That's right within the conservation area. Camping spots, picnic spots. The Spring River runs through the conservation area, so you've got swimming, kayaking, fishing, all that good stuff just 5 miles from here. But I mean, on a 53, almost 54 acre property, odds are you're gonna have all the fun you need on your own private tract. But it's cool having the conservation land nearby. Also, within about half an hour is the Mark Twain National Forest, which is a couple 100,000 acres of additional land that you can use for hunting and trail riding and fishing and all that good stuff as well. So this tract is about 20 miles south of West Plains, Missouri, which is the largest regional city. But it is just about 2 miles south of the state line, so it's in Arkansas. It's in northern Fulton County, Arkansas. So county seat for Fulton County is Salem, Arkansas, which is about 10 or 15 miles south of this property. So to get to this tract, say from West Plains, you would take Highway 17 south for 18 miles. As soon as you cross the state line, excuse me, you go east. So you go left if you're coming from West Plains onto the county road, which is Republican Road. Go east on Republican for about 2 miles, and you'll get to this spot right here, the T in the road. Almost directly across is the start of the private easement road. So just kind of look to your right when you're at the T. Look across, you'll see the private easement road. There's a gate set back about 50 feet from the road. Get a hold of us. We'll get you the combo for that. The White Ranch Project, these tracks, it's a small private rural development. There are only about 20 tracks here. So it's a private easement road. It ends just a few hundred feet past the 53 acres. So the access is only for property owners and their guests. Makes it very private, very peaceful out here. Once you go east on the easement road, you go, I believe, that looks like a little over half a mile, and you're going to see the property on the right on the south side of the road. So why don't we zoom in a little bit here. So it has about 360 feet of road frontage. By the way, the residential power line is just a few feet from the property. So that's a huge bonus if you do end up wanting or needing power on your property. It's this diagonal line right here. That's the residential power line. So literally about 100 feet from the property. You're going to find some gorgeous mature timber out here. Red oak, white oak, hickory. There happens to be some beautiful pine trees on this property, which is really exciting. If you've ever thought about building a log cabin, there are some trees that we think would be ideal for that. Long, straight pines. Obviously, once the property's been paid for in full, then you could use that timber. You can't use the mature timber until then. But we do often make exceptions for people. We can make written exceptions for timber removal if you're clearing out a driveway, expanding a site, doing another site, you can contact us for details on that, but we've got a pretty simple process. Why don't we do this? Let's back up. We'll look at a topo map, kind of show you how this is situated. So essentially what this kind of is a 40-acre tract. So you've got, I mean, it's all contiguous. You've got 53.85 contiguous acres altogether, but it's essentially kind of a 40-acre tract with the 13-acre tract on top of that. So 360 feet wide at the road, goes straight to the south, and then widens out as you get to this bigger part. So on a wooded property, obviously with 360 feet of width, you're extremely private once you're 100 feet in. So, I mean, once you get back to the larger part, you could be out there, you know, for years, and no one would know you're there unless you wanted them to know. Let's look at a topo map, though. We'll see how this is situated here. Okay. So actually situated really nicely. Large level area, according to the topo map, and we can verify that when we look at the ground video and the drone video. The topo is showing a large level area toward the south side by the road. Once you come in, it begins to slope down. We've got the site. It slopes all the way down to the creek bed, to Pine Creek, which would be the lowest point on the property. As you go south from there, it actually rises back up. And it's really interesting on this tract. You've got what looks like a large knoll, large level knoll right on the property. And it appears to be one of the highest points around, which is really interesting. Didn't even realize that until we looked at this topo map just now. But if you wanted just a one-of-a-kind building site or campsite, this particular knoll right here could be ideal because you could essentially open up the view in practically every direction. As you go south from that knoll, this topo map is showing more of a level area, and then actually a little ridge going easterly if you follow the white glove, and then sloping down. As you go south, it begins to slope down. Essentially, this is a draw or a valley, start of a small valley here, beginning over on the west side and then sloping down as you go easterly. So that would be the ideal spot if you want to check for springs or caves. A draw or a valley like this is generally, if we were searching for a spring, that's the first place we would check. If we wanted to see if there are any caves on the property, it would be this draw right here. And then looking at the southeast corner, there's another draw right here. This property actually sits amazingly well. So we've got the big knoll here. As you go south, if you stay on the west side, it basically appears quite level. And then the southwest corner rises up slightly and levels off again. So you've got another nice high knoll there on the southwest corner. And interestingly enough, if we look east from there, there's actually a little ridge that goes down easterly, and you've got another large level area on the east side of the property. So I mean, this is a spectacular tract. I'm excited to look at the drone video here. On a big tract like this, I'm hoping we got a drone video of most of it, but the drone only has so much range. So when you're talking about a property of this size, I'm not sure if we got the whole thing, but I mean, we'll find out when we look at that drone video. Stunning property. Oh my gosh. Again, Pine Creek is going to be more of a seasonal creek in this point, but there may be pools of water in there throughout the year. Also, like we mentioned, if you want to check for springs or caves or other cool stuff, you've got this kind of valley area here, and then on the southeast as well. Why don't we play around with some other base maps? It's just exciting to mess around with MapRight on this property because seldom, if ever, do we have one this large. Let's try that one. As we look at this, if we back up a little bit, you can see kind of these straight lines here. Those are probably at least partial fence lines. So as we look at this, if you're out there on the ground, I mean, not only will you have survey markers at each corner on this property, but when you get to the south side, it appears that there's some kind of cleared line, possibly a fence line. And then, of course, the same thing on the east side, from what we can tell here. And let's just zoom in here. Sometimes on these base maps, you can differentiate the pines from the hardwood trees. In this case, these darker green trees are probably the pines. And this is a beautiful mixture of timber on this property. There is some monster timber there, and that's just what we saw from the road. Let's try a different base map. MapRight used to provide a Google Maps base map, which was good because that often showed the property in the wintertime. And so then it was super easy to tell pine trees from hardwood trees. Yeah, that's not doing too much for us. Oh, another interesting little thing about this cabin, and you can check out the videos. We might have a video or a picture of it somewhere. We found kind of a trail that crosses partially over the, crosses kind of east to west over this part of the property. And we found a tiny little hunting shack just on the west side of the property. I don't know, I really doubt we'd be able to see it if we zoom in, but we could try some different layers. I don't know what that layer is. That's not super helpful. Maybe infrared. Sometimes you can see trails with the infrared layer. Wow, that looks kind of crazy, like a sci-fi movie. Oh, by the way, I mean, the reason that the driveway and the site are not showing up is since they were recently done, and it takes a couple years really for these base maps to update. So the driveway, and this is not precise, but it's going to be somewhat close to the length of the driveway and the size of the site. This is not just a trail that goes through the woods here. This is an actual cleared site, just so you know. Okay, so why don't we look at this? So that little cabin, as we said, this is Tract 19. There are about 20 tracks here. This was essentially one large block of land that was used by just 3 or 4 guys for hunting for decades, and they had trails all over the place. There's a trail that started on some other tract to the west, and if you can see it here, follow the little white hand, meandered over and onto this property. And I believe right about here where that trail meandered onto the property is where we found that little hunting shack. Again, it's very small, but I mean, it's just kind of a cool little structure. And actually, this does look like that trail that goes easterly. So these trails that we're looking at now, these are not easements for anybody else to cross your property. The only access easement would be the easement road up here on the north side of the property, of course. Beautiful track. Let's look at the modern topo, see if that's... No, that's pretty standard too. I mean, we could play around with these maps forever. There's a lot to see, but we're going to check out the drone video and the ground video. You'll see those on the listing page. Very, very exciting property. Obviously, the deer hunting and the turkey hunting out here is absolutely phenomenal, especially on a tract of this size. I mean, you could essentially create your own hunting paradise out here, building a home, building a cabin. With the power nearby, that's a big bonus. A lot of people do solar now, and that's nice to have, but tough to beat an old-fashioned power line, really. So nice tract, 53.85 acres, complete owner financing. Check out the website for availability, and if you have any questions, just let us know.